Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Another week, this great class, right? Good. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So, this is Thanksgiving week. So, hopefully, you have turkey and traditional Thanksgiving dinner, even if it's your first time. Mashed potatoes, gravy, yams, the green bean salad, pumpkin pie, you name it. Okay. Hopefully, you guys enjoy that. All right. Um, Let me move on with what I usually do. So, share the screen, go to the material, minimize myself. If it'll do it, does it want to do it? There we go. I was like, oh my God, am I going to have to be seen through the whole lecture? Nobody wants that. Okay, let me move to slideshow from the beginning. All right, looks for Rudy Tooty, fresh and fruity right here. Okay, so school code, class code, ENG 102. Creative writing, and you also know we have something a little extra, right? Could it be poetry, maybe? All right, 7. And again, this class lecture is scheduled for the 21st. Is that correct? 21st. Yeah. All right, here we go. Functional, which means working, right? Successfully working, it's functional, not non-functional. Nonfiction, which, fiction is a fantasy. Harry Potter and nonfiction are supposed to be true information, right? Not necessarily a story, but at least true information. Starting, do you need creative writing skills to write a travel piece, a press release, or other kinds of functional writing pieces? Of course you do. To capture a reader's interest, works of nonfiction also require a creative, imaginative touch. In fact, they're really just another way to tell a story. All right, so hopefully you will remember that. Okay, dispelling fiction kind of means like, we have a saying, dispel the notion, which means to give you the truth and tell you more or less to forget it. So we're not really dispelling fiction, but it's just something to say here. Drawing a parallel. Just like fiction, good nonfiction is original and innovative. Kind of means creative. Nonfiction genres or styles: essays, political or people columns, how-to books, travel articles, memoirs, so like a biography, autobiography, that is, humor pieces, comedy, literary criticism, biographies and autobiographies, and business documents are exciting vehicles for creative expression. Okay. All right, they're just relaying information about writing nonfiction for children. Okay. Many authors come to nonfiction writing because of an interest in a particular subject, such as travel, a recent election, Hillary, Trump, Biden, etc., or a piece of family history. The topic so interests them that they want to learn everything they can about it and then share what they know with others. But not everyone who picks up the newspaper or scans the travel book table at the bookstore is immediately interested in an unknown writer's trip to Santorini, which is beach town in Italy, or in learning about a stranger's take on local politics. Ooh. So nonfiction writers have two important jobs: to inform and enlighten, that's together, and to write so compelling again is to make you look at something or read something that you can't turn away. You're so interested and you don't want to be distracted. You are compelled to continue reading. So creatively and with such a fresh approach that they capture the attention of readers who might not otherwise keep reading. So you see, that's a skill in itself. What they're saying there is that, let's say you're a better writer than me. Okay, so I write it, let's say the first edition. And people are like, you ask them, hey, did you enjoy that? And they're like, I think I fell asleep, Guy Barry, I don't know. And then you write it, and wow, now they're paying attention because usually, like when I write it or someone else, they don't. But you grab and capture their attention. Okay. That's a skill in itself. Okay. So we got a little factoid here, a little essential. In choosing a nonfiction topic, be sure it's something that grabs your attention as well as a subject you think will appeal to readers. Nonfiction words can teach, delight, connect with, and entertain readers. But exciting nonfiction needs the author's personal and passionate commitment. Okay. Again, you add your own special touch. So another way I can relay that to you is just think about cooking. Most everybody makes the same dish, but some people add some different spices, different secret ingredients. Some people are just better at it than others. And those dishes are going to be more delicious. Same with your nonfiction writing in this case. Because they function as teachers, commentators, and reporters, nonfiction writers must be accurate and base their stories on fact. Again, you're writing nonfiction, not a fantasy like Harry Potter. Moldendorf or whatever, never existed. Research then is the key to this type of writing. Nonfiction research can involve hours at the library or on the internet, reading through old family letters or scrapbooks, interviewing experts, studying business or legal documents, tracking down relatives, or testing directions for building a chair. In the case of a memoir or an autobiography, it can even involve self-research. Writers who enjoy uncovering information rather than dreaming it up may find one of the nonfiction formats right to their taste, which means right to your liking. You're not actually eating the paper, right, or the format. Right. Here we go. Functional forms: personal, analytical, and promotional writing. So it looks like there's three. Yes, I have a question. Like, what are the three? Blah, 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 blah. Should be easy to catch. Many nonfiction forms, in addition to providing information, serve a specific purpose. Shall repeat that. Serve a specific purpose. These include, among others, responding, thanking, analyzing, arguing, expressing an opinion, influencing, or promoting. You come across many of these forms in your daily life. For example, you read ads that try to influence you to buy a certain product or take a particular action. And you write thank you notes, or at least your mother told you to, when someone does you a favor, gives you a gift, or provides a service. Functional forms of writing include everything from letters to the editor or complaint editor letters, book reviews and other types of reviews or criticism, opinion pieces, campaign speeches, and advertising and marketing materials. All excellent vehicles for expressing your creativity. The press release. Many fields of business, from high tech to retail to real estate, need the skills of the creative writer to promote and publicize their goods and services. Advertising campaigns, marketing communications, and public relations events are all important ways in which organizations catch the public's eye. From TV and newspaper ads to campaign buttons, press releases, and brochures, creative copy can influence what people buy, wear, and do. Yes, sir. One promotional tool that is often used by businesses is the press release. This information source lets newspaper editors and others know that a new product has just become available. An important conference is going to be held, or a significant event has taken place. Press releases help to promote awareness and put the business being touted or talked about in a positive light, increasing the chances that the public will buy its wares. Wares is an old word for product. Get the reader's attention. Writing a press release that doesn't get tossed in the trash takes skill, thought, and most importantly, creativity. Your release most likely will have competition from a number of others to grab an editor's eye, his or her available print or airwave space. So your news should be truly newsworthy and so interesting and inviting that an editor will use it as the basis for an article or review. Another factoid, little factoids. They're like a signpost leading the way to your destination of good creative writing. Did you know that many famous creative writers, artists worked in an advertising or public relations at one point in their careers? These include Sinclair Lewis, Sherwood Anderson, Dorothy Park, Cornelia Otis Skinner, and writer and comedian Bob Newhart. In promotional writing, as in other types of nonfiction writing, the first sentence carries the burden of getting the attention of the reader. So in that fancy writing, it means your first sentence better grab the attention of the reader. That's where it starts and begins, not the third, fourth, fifth, or sixth, seventh sentence down. By then they're bored. Right? You got to grab the reader's attention in the very first sentence. For example, to grab the spotlight for one of its new lines from among all the computers that are out there, Apple crafted or made a press release that began in a move that makes the world's fastest personal computers faster. Apple today unveiled an all-new Power Mac G4 line. The fastest computer made faster is definitely something worth reading about. So that grabs your attention. It tells you, hey, all these commercial computers are the fastest you'll get, but ours, man, it's the fastest among them all. So you're like, really? I want to read about this. It sounds interesting. The bottom here, folks. Okay. Provide information quickly and economically. Once you've got the editor's eye or attention, you want to provide all the essential information quickly in what some editors call the inverted pyramid. The who, what, where, when, and why of the release at the top, and the less critical information farther down. Okay. This approach can be effective if the editor reads only part of your piece or needs to cut information to make an article fit the available space. In your release, make every word count. Provide information, but use your word crafting skills to evoke images that make the reader see the product or event. Great press releases use strong visual language. Copywriter and novelist Annalisa McMorrow's press releases. She uses powerful description to invite readers to learn more about a fashion-oriented line of notes and cards. McMorrow intrigues and entices. Intrigue is like a mystery, it makes you question what's going on. And entices means something like a delicious smell or tasty food makes you want more. So these things make you question and want to read more by revealing that the cards depict or show a wayward ankle strap that falls daintily open, a stiletto heel that prepares for the next forward stride. So basically, these things are so descriptive that they send an exact picture in your mind, and you can't help but follow them because you're intrigued. Next, finding an interesting tie-in or connection. That's what tie-in means. Eye-catching press releases also take a fresh approach. We're not talking about fresh food here, okay? So it means a new style of writing them. Like I said before, maybe my style and my, uh, comrades who write, there's an old, boring style. And you guys, being younger, can have a new, fresh approach. A new laundry detergent or the opening of another nail salon may not be exciting to an editor or the public on its own. But when put in an intriguing light, there's intriguing again, either can be the perfect basis for an engaging story. In his Careers for Writers, Robert Bly writes about a young publicist who was looking for a great hook. Hooks are things that will catch your attention, whether they're in writing or movies or a song, and to promote an acupuncturist. The man discovered that it had been 10 years since former President Nixon had made his groundbreaking trip to China. His lead and his story put a new slant or perspective on what could have been just another report on a small business. His release, which was widely picked up, which means read by many people everywhere, stated 10 years after Nixon's visit to China, acupuncture comes of age, which is like saying it becomes modern. In other words, the West had not really learned of acupuncture at that time, so didn't know what to think about it. It's silly putting needles in people's body. But I guess after Nixon gains knowledge of going into the secret China, China was secret at the time, new knowledge was gained. Okay, so another factoid. We catch editors' eyes. Press releases need to be fresh and inventive. But to do their job, they also have to be accurate. Always double check all the pertinent information. Pertinent means important or most important. Times and dates, street addresses, phone numbers, website addresses, and the spelling of people's names and places. Keep in mind, here are some pointers to remember when writing a first-rate press release. Use visual and sensory language to create images and mood. Watch out for cliches. Okay, what are cliches? Kind of think to help you make to remember easily. Think of a cliche like a stereotype. Cliches are a lot of times not even really true, right? Or if they are, they're so old and overused that they make reading kind of boring for people. It's not part of a fresh new style, right? Put the most important information at the beginning. Again, that helps you grab the attention sooner. Find a fresh approach. Write to the audience who will be reading your release, so you know what kind of audience is out there. Try to write towards them and things that they want to read about. Be sure all the facts are correct and current, which we mentioned earlier. This is nonfiction, nonfiction. Make the release irresistible with an exciting title and a grabber of a lead. Again, first sentence material. Now we'll move on to the travel piece. Okay, that was mentioned earlier. It talked about mentioned press releases and travel piece. If one of your passions is experiencing up close and personal the many wonders the world has to offer, it won't take you a New York minute. That's a cliche. I don't think people use that anymore. A New York minute, right? Which means very fast. To decide that travel writing is where you can shine, succeed. I've had students shine. Am I gonna put some lotion on my head? You know, it's like, no, it's not what we're talking about. The shine needs to succeed. Recounting a travel adventure can be an exciting way to let loose your creativity while connecting with others who share your continuing urge or desire to get up and go. It can also be a great way to explore personal or global issues that are important to you. Meet people with different backgrounds and interests and experience other cultures. While many travel articles provide the lowdown on exotic destinations, a good number of travel writers choose less expensive and more accessible spots to focus on. Yeah, that's a style in itself. You know, the traditional way was telling readers about these, most famous, exciting places, whether it's Paris, London, something like that. But they're expensive, and depending on what kind of trip, can be very expensive. So a new style was like finding these places that most people don't know about, and they're cheaper, but yet the way you write makes them sound just as intriguing or exciting. Travel pieces can detail not just the makings of a dream vacation for those with the means to cruise the Caribbean or be whisked away straight to Paris in a first class seat. They also share information about more down to earth and still immensely appealing attractions, making it possible for travel writers of all resources, interests, and hometowns to find intriguing locations to write about. And that's the way it is in life if you're a smart person on how to do things. You know, um, I was mentioning expensive cities like London and Paris. It's just like if, I mean, there's a travel writer, right? Well, let's say here's another one that you can do with nonfiction, like a restaurant critic. Now, a restaurant critic can tell you, hey, man, Beverly Hills, there's this new restaurant and it's fantastic. You got to order the soup and what other dishes, right? And then you go and you find out, man, it's overpriced. They gave me soup, which wasn't bad. It's not the best, but it was so small, the amount they gave me. Like, it wasn't in a bowl, it was in a cup. So is that really the best place to go? Just because someone says, hey, it's the place to be and it's in Beverly Hills and certain movie stars go there, right? And someone else tells you about a hole in the wall restaurant that's really affordable and the portions are big and the taste is fantastic. So that's a comparison I'm making. Okay. On the bottom here, destination articles are written for travelers who are considering a trip to a certain locale and are interested in obtaining tips and advice from someone who has already been there. Many such articles concentrate on frequently visited tourist destinations and offer a fresh outlook, detail an overlooked but intriguing spot, or cover the latest restaurants or attractions. Rather than a simple recitation or repeating of the facts, service articles should stir up readers' interest and encourage them to say, now that's a place I want to visit. And that's a perfect uh, definition, which is the opposite of just, oh, that place sounds so exciting, or, I'm jealous rich people go there and why, and all those kinds of things, to reading something about a place you didn't know about, and it's a small place, and then you get done reading it, and then you just can't stop yourself from saying, hey, now that's a place I want to visit because it sounds so interesting and doable and affordable and, you know, all those things. Okay, now that's the creativity part of our reading. And we shall now move into the poetry. And today's information is all about meter. So I'm not talking about your parking meter that you guys have to pay, out there on the main, you know, street, or, you park on Wilshire or whatever. No, that's not the meter I'm talking about. Reading poems aloud will give you insight into a very important poetic resource. The stress or lack of stress given to certain words and syllables can arrange these syllables in such a way that you create rhythm in your poetry. This is called meter. So, like I said, no coins are involved in this meter. Meter can give your poems a stronger musical quality, a cadence that gives shape to a line, a stanza, or indeed a whole poem. Dealing with stress. When you speak, certain sounds and syllables receive stress. That is, your voice rises in pitch and volume, and you can enunciate, pronounce strongly, all of the letters. Certain sounds and syllables remain unstressed. Your voice lowers in pitch. Hello, how you doing? And volume. I sound like Sylvester Stallone. And you blend, change, or drop the sounds of some letters. For instance, when an English speaker says the word television, he puts stress on the first syllable, raising her voice in pitch. Television, right? Raising her voice in pitch and volume and enunciating all of the letters, pronouncing television. In contrast, or like saying on the other hand, the last syllable receives no stress. Television. Goes drops down. Her voice drops in pitch and volume. This S changes to a Z sound, and the vowels I and O disappear between the S and the N. The patterns of stressed and unstressed sounds and syllables in English are very difficult to follow. Pronunciation has undergone significant change over the centuries. And regional dialects and words taken from other languages have their own pronunciation patterns. Words can change their stress patterns according to their functions in a sentence as well. So even at a smaller level in the sentence. For example, the first syllable of the word reject is stressed when it is used as a noun, not a verb. I want the rejects sent back. So you hear the difference. Reject, the verb, and the noun are rejects. But when it is used as a verb, the stress isn't on the last syllable. He will reject the faulty merchandise. Reject, first syllable. First syllable of the word placid, an adjective, is stressed. But if you change it into the word placidity, a noun, the second syllable is stressed. Stress can also change according to the type of sentence that you are making. For instance, in a normal statement such as she is beautiful, your voice starts high on the word she, but then descends or goes down steadily through the sentence until hitting the bottom with the syllable full. In contrast, if you ask the question, is she beautiful? Your voice find it highest pitch on the syllable full. Is she beautiful? Full, see? Finally, if you exclaim, which means to say, she is beautiful, Your voice tends to emphasize the word or syllable you want to be the center of attention. For example, if you want to highlight her beauty, the stress will fall on the syllable beaut, right? She is beautiful. It goes down. So the stressed part is the first part, the B-E-A-U-T. Hopefully you're following this up. I'm trying to make it as least confusing as possible. There was other information, I deleted it. It was really, really complicated and used numbers, and you don't need to remember that. You need to know the basics and just be able to say, hey, I know how to define meter and I know what you need to do. You don't have to be able to attack every kind of poetry you know with like a formula, like a mathematical formula. That's for another class. Okay, some more essential information here. In English, prefixes and suffixes change the root in different ways. Generally speaking, a prefix will change the meaning of the word, while a suffix will change the function of the word. Thus, inflect and reflect are two different verbs from the root flect. But the suffix ion transforms both verbs into nouns. Following points should help you keep these general rules straight. Unstressed syllables are, the list is, hint, 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 possible questions. The list is articles, conjunctions. So articles meaning, do you know the three articles? A, and, the. Okay, conjunctions. Prepositions like in, on, or at. Prefixes, suffixes, linking verbs, and helping verbs. That is your list of unstressed syllable. Second group, stress syllable. Nouns, you know, I'm a noun, you're a noun, table's a noun, animal's a noun. Roots and bases, main verbs, which have to show action. These tendencies are not 100% accurate, but they provide a reasonable starting point. Note that certain parts of speech, adjectives, adverbs, pronouns, are not listed. Why? They are usually stressed according to the needs and the syntax of the sentence, or to the other general tendencies noted previously. Use your dictionary. That's a big one. It's very, very helpful, students. Very, very helpful. You know, please do that as much as you can. I know a lot of American students, they get very lazy. I don't want to buy another book, or I don't want to carry this around. Or, you know, but it doesn't have to be heavy because you can have it on your iPod, right? Not like in my day where I have to carry the big, big book, right? The easiest way to distinguish between the stressed and unstressed syllables of polysyllabic, poly means many, words is to look them up in a dictionary. For example, if you locate the word modulate, you will see a guide for pronunciation and syllablification next to it, using these parentheses or backward slashes. So you're familiar with those terms being involved in, you know, your www.yoyo / you know, etc. Hyphens or centered periods will set off the syllables. A high set mark will precede the syllable with the primary stress. A low set mark will precede syllables with secondary stress, and alternative letters and symbols will show the pronunciation of the letters. A good desk dictionary, rather than a simple spelling dictionary, will give you the information you need. In fact, is there one after this? No. Yes, there is. If you want to learn more about the history of stresses and sounds in English, consult the book Essentials of English Grammar by Otto Jespersen. It is a condensed or shortened version of the longer study he made. Much of the information about stresses in this chapter comes from this source. Solid footing. Partly because of the way words are pronounced, and partly because of the early influence of music on poetry. Certain patterns of stressed and unstressed syllables emerge in poems, and they create recognizable beats, beats. So if any of you are DJs, you shall be able to recognize these beats. A poet may use a specific pattern in a poem to give it shape and structure. And this pattern of stress and unstressed syllables is called a foot. Plural is called beat. Right? Let us proceed. Okay, so as you can see, we're done with the reading. It's going to be a little shorter today. Like I said, there wasn't a lot of material on meter, and the extra stuff was way too complicated, and none of the American students remember it anyway. So I don't need to confuse you. I need to give you the correct amount of information that's easy to remember and useful in your writing. So that's why this week's lecture will be a little bit shorter. The important stuff is still there. Okay, so let's get on to the questions. First set of questions is for creative writing. This week's emphasis, functional nonfiction. 1. What does nonfiction writing require to capture a reader's interest? Does it require one thing or two things? It's there in the beginning of the reading. 2. Which two important jobs do nonfiction writers have to perform? Again, please list 2. I'm still having some students that want to ask them, what are the 2 most important? I only get one answer, right? So if it's on the test, I won't mark it all wrong. I'm not a mean guy, but you won't get the full points that you can. 3, list the 3 functional forms of nonfiction writing. I think I gave you a hint on that earlier. Magic number is 3. 4, what do great press releases use? Okay. Please think sensical. Sometimes I get a student that'll say, what does a great press release use? A typewriter. That's not what I'm talking about at all. Okay. Be patient. 5, destination articles should encourage readers to say what? What should they say? Oh, I have to go to the bathroom. No, not that. Something different. Okay, moving on to the poetry questions. As you can see, the poetry material is short. There's only 4, so you're going to do 9 questions this week, not your normal 10. Yay, everybody applauds. And they will send their donations to my email, right? Thank you very much. This week's emphasis in poetry is on all about meter. Okay, number 1, what is called meter? Right? Give me the new formula or definition, and then you say, this is called meter. Okay, blah, blah. 2, what are very difficult to follow in English? Right? Again, stay within the grammar, what we're doing here. Again, I don't want any silly answers like what are very difficult to follow in English? Flying birds. Yeah, those are very difficult to follow. Yeah, and that's not what I'm looking for. There are some rules here that I stated. 3, please list which things are unstressed syllables and stressed syllables. It wasn't long ago in the lecture I went over this. So there's a list of, I don't know, maybe 5 for unstressed and 5 for stressed. I mean, the material's right there. You can copy them word by word, you know. But if this question comes up in the final, you know, let's say there's 5. I don't remember off the top of my head. So let's say there's 5 of each. Again, if you give me 1, that's bad. The final. Not good in the homework either. But yeah, the person that gives 3 is going to do much better. The person that gives me 5 is fantastic. But if you only give me 4 and you don't remember the 5th one, that's enough to get full credit for me. I'm a kind guy, right? We're making an effort because that would be 4 of unstressed and 4 of stressed. So that's a total of 8. So, you know, do what you can. But every little point helps, especially if you're between grades. You're between a B minus and a B. You get something extra, or I sense great effort. I'm going to give you that B. Okay. In my mind, again, only being fair. Number 4, last question for this week. The pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables is called what? What do we call it? There's a catchy little word for that. And it's not, Temujin, it's not sausagey. Yeah, the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllables is sausagey. No, it's not. Okay. So there you go. Nice, and a little bit shorter this week, which is great for you guys because you're going to be busy doing your Thanksgiving stuff. Right? And probably the girls Friday will be involved in the Black Friday. But good luck. The last couple of years when I've tried to go to a mall for Black Friday, they don't even have parking on the mall. I had to park outside of the mall on the street. Right? So good luck with that, folks. Get there early. Okay, so we're done with that. I should stop sharing the screen. That means I'm coming back. Hello, everyone. So again, I keep on wishing you a happy Thanksgiving. Eat your turkey, eat your pumpkin pie, and cranberry sauce. And I'll see you the following week, okay? Thank you much. Bye-bye. Happy Thanksgiving.